Motherhood Uncorked. I'm your host, Courtney, and I'm here this week with Mar from the Successful Lifestyle and Family blog To and Fro. Mar is a nature lover, and she's passing that love on to her children. So she's here to tell us a little bit about the importance of getting your kids outside regularly and how we can do that. Ready to get started?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Courtney.
No problem. All right, let's get this champagne flowing, or bubbles, depending on who you're talking to. Woo! Woo! That was a good one.
That got some height.
That's me, glass. I knew it was going to be a good one. It was really tough. It was really in there.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, so why don't you tell me a little bit about where your love for nature really began?
Sure. So I grew up in, I would say, a smallish town. I mean, compared to Toronto, it was 75,000 people. And it was right on Lake Huron. So we had the lake essentially in our backyard. So from an early age, I spent so much time at the beach. We also had a cottage in Tobermory. It was my grandparents' cottage. So spending summers up there, my grandma actually has a big influence on where my nature love started. She had the cottage filled with nature books, like guides, birds and plants. And so I guess that she brought out the nature nerd in me. So we would go out and just explore and come back and look to see what we found when we were outside.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So then, when you grew up, you kind of really got to embrace the nature nerd in you.
I did.
You actually lived in Alaska.
Yeah. So before Alaska, I actually studied marine biology in school because I love the water so much. And I really saw myself down south, on a beach, scuba diving. I loved, sharks and dolphins. Everything about the ocean I loved. So I really saw myself down there, which is why I took marine biology. But everything kind of took a turn. My husband was a former hockey player, and one day he got the call that he had been traded to a team in Alaska, the exact opposite of where I saw my life going. But I didn't have anything at the time. I had finished school. I couldn't find a job in something that I wanted in my field. So I said, let's do it. Let's go. It's an adventure. What's the worst? It could be 8 months, one hockey season. But it turns out we loved it so much that we stayed for three years. Yeah, it was.
Was it cold?
It was cold, but it's a different cold than here. Like it's, if you're prepared for it, it's not cold. And the beauty of Alaska, the cold can't deter you from getting outside.
Okay. You had a baby.
Yes.
So anything with a newborn is challenging, but I think getting out of the house can be one of the most challenging things that you have to do when you're transitioning into motherhood.
Absolutely.
What did you find to be the hardest when you were trying to venture outside? Like, what did you struggle with?
So my first daughter was born in March 2016. So March is like that weird month where Mother Nature doesn't really know if it's still winter, if it's spring yet. So it's, every day is different. And I think we lived in an apartment at the time, so that was definitely a challenge, living in an apartment and, hauling your stroller around. But I think just a new routine, like you were still discovering baby's routine when they napped, when they needed to eat. And I think that was a big hindrance to when and how long we could get outside. Yeah. The weather, you deal with it. You make the best of it. You bundle up if you need to. But fresh baby, I think the schedule and the new routine was definitely throwing me off.
So then you had another baby.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more challenging
because
now you've got to have two that you need to get out the door, and you've got one that's potentially a toddler that is taking their sweet ass time.
Oh yeah.
And then you have a second one to get ready and leave. How do you kind of cope with those challenges?
Yeah, so now this past August, we had our second daughter. So complete opposite, a summer baby. I was outside all summer, and then all of a sudden I feel trapped inside. Again, a new routine with her, but also developing that, or I guess figuring out that routine between all three of us now. So, my near 3-year-old has her own routine, and She's hitting those teenager years. So yes, we all know.
Everyone likes to tell you about the twos, but they don't warn you about those threes.
No. So yeah, so that's, I would say right now, today, if you ask me that today, it's her. She is the struggle to getting outside because, you know, she wants to go outside, but she also really wants to watch Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
And you know, Peppa Pig comes first sometimes, and it's a challenge. She wants to go outside one second, and then the next she just doesn't want anything to do with it. And so I think convincing her to buy in to getting outside is really hard. And I think that's probably part of the reason why some days we don't go outside, is because I don't want to deal with the fight that comes with that.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, and I'd rather not deal with it.
I had a year like that too, where when my son was about 2.5, he refused to wear a winter jacket. It didn't matter how cold it was, he just wouldn't wear his jacket. It got to the point that I couldn't bring him to preschool for the first half of the day because he wouldn't put his jacket on. So I was like, well, you're going to miss the whole outside time. Like, I'm not sending you outside to play for 45 minutes when it's -5 and you're not wearing a jacket. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, you're always, curveballs are always thrown at you, right? Especially with teenager. But we're potty training as well. So that's like, oh, do I trust you enough to go to the store?
I just bundled you up.
Yeah.
You just spent 20 minutes putting your snowsuit on. Now you have to pee?
Yeah. Well, and it had the most success with, kid you not, just letting her run around naked.
Yeah.
And so putting clothes on to her is like, well, why? Why do I need to put clothes on? I swear she'd run out the door naked if she could.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's also a fun thing that gets in the way.
So sometimes you have to overcome all of those challenges because you have to go outside because scientifically and medically it is actually very beneficial for you.
It is.
So if you have a toddler, you can tell the difference in your toddler when you've brought them outside to when you've not.
Absolutely.
But does it really have an effect on like a younger baby to get outside time?
I think the fresh air is good for everyone, but I think for when it comes to a younger baby that maybe might not know that they're outside or benefit from going to the playground or whatnot, I think the benefit comes from a happy mom. Okay. So me being outside, I instantly see my mood change. I'm happier. You know, I'm pushing a stroller, so I'm not on my phone. I put it down. I'm relaxed. You know, I'm just calm. And I think, you know, babies benefit from that. You're happier, and if you are happy, then you can, you know, your baby will be happier as well. Essentially, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've had some harsh days this winter.
Oh yeah.
This past winter. And
this past week.
we still might be in store for a few more of those. Yeah. Depending on when spring decides it wants to show up.
Yeah.
So for you, how cold does it need to be before you're like, no, I'm not going to take you guys outside?
Well, you know, so before having kids, the weather was never really something that I paid attention to. I think, you know, I may glance out the window and no, it's fine, let's go. But now that I have kids, it is something I pay attention to, more than just looking out the window. Like, what's kind of coming ahead? How do we need to dress? Definitely, if there's cold advisories, I'm probably going to stay inside. If freezing rain like we've had recently, we're going to stay inside. But I think the key to getting outside in colder weather is just layers. A friend of mine in Alaska actually said something to me it's stuck with me, even having kids. It's you can take off the layers you have, but you can't put on the layers you don't have. So if you're hot, you can take off layers, but if you're too cold, you may not have layers to put on. So it's better to bundle up, dress in layers, so that you can remove them to your comfort level. Yes. And I think that is something that has always stuck with me, even having kids, because it's true. I mean, you don't want to be cold when you're outside, because if a kid gets cold, then you're coming inside. But yeah.
It's funny, sometimes I'll go with my husband and the kids will just ask for something, and I've got it stashed away. Like, I've got different kinds of mitts stashed in my bag. I've got a couple in my pocket. I've got a scarf here. He's like, why do you have all this? I'm like, because you just don't know.
Yeah. Meltdown will happen if you don't have the pink mitt, or if their hand gets cold.
You know, maybe their hand's too hot in this kind of mitt, but they still need a mitt, so they need one of those thinner gloves.
Yeah.
I gotta have it.
Oh yeah, always have to be prepared.
So then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you know, we're kind of in the midpoint now. We're maybe going to go into those warmer months in the summer. Is there a time when you're like, it's just too hot? that we're going to stay inside.
Yeah, I think again, like paying attention to those heat advisories this time, and what's coming down later in the day, avoiding peak times when the UV is at its highest, especially for kids under 6 months, you can't wear sunscreen.
Yes.
Staying in the shade, having lots and lots of water. So if we're at the park, we're always taking little breaks to have some water, or we bring watermelon or a little some fruit and some other snacks, so that we can have a picnic and enjoy the day there, but make sure we're hydrated as well.
Yes. All right, so you're talking about going to the park, which is one of the things that you can do when you live in a city. But obviously, the city is not where you grew up. We were talking, you can't just walk outside and go on a nature walk. What kind of outdoor activities are there to do in the city with children?
With children? There's a lot of great places to take them, depending on how you can get there. There's TTC options if you have a car. Different places to see. We live down by the beach, so we love going for a walk on the boardwalk. We'll bring buckets and pails in the summer and play in the sand for a little bit. They have some great playgrounds down there. There's also an amazing trail that runs the length of the Don River. So it starts in North York and goes all the way downtown, and it's always filled with people. Lots of different sights. You can see birds, so it's fun to go bird watching with your kids. You may see deer there. So it's fun to really teach them about nature, and a good place to start. I'm all about building that connection. There's a great quote that says, if you're going to protect something, you have to first love it, but in order to love it, you have to have a connection with it. So I think when it comes to developing a nature nerd, like I call myself, I guess, it's really building that connection. So parents are really important in that aspect, building that first connection with the outdoors. But then if it's not so nice outside, but you still want to build that appreciation for nature, there's so many great places in Toronto that have, that science aspect, like the Science Center, the aquarium, and the Royal Ontario Museum. So they all have great things available to teach kids about nature and our natural world as well.
Right. So what about at home? Like, what about if it's just, maybe it's like super rainy or there's a huge snowstorm outside? Are there things that you can do at home to incorporate a love of nature? Or
oh yeah, absolutely. I'm all about lately the back pocket activities. So having those things in your back pocket for when the days don't allow you to get outside. So one thing that I love with my youngest is water play. So what I'll do is actually take a cookie sheet and fill it with just a little bit of water so that it covers the bottom of the sheet. And I'll add some toys, maybe some spoons, things that she can easily grab.
Yeah.
And then I just basically lay her on her belly with her arms in the water, and she just goes to town playing in the water and splashing. Even my oldest has gotten in there a few times with her. But water play, building that love of the water for them. There's things you can do in the fall. You can collect leaves and take them back inside, do leaf rubbings or press leaves. For those kids that like a little screen time, there's so many great nature documentaries out there. I think my toddler loves Planet Earth and Blue Planet, where she can learn about, she loves sharks, so she'll learn about the sharks. I don't believe it.
This is me, this kid is my spirit animal.
Yeah, so I think there's so many great documentaries too, where they can learn on their own.
My son was watching, I turned it on, I don't know why I turned it on one day, and it was the Komodo dragons. They were fighting, and he was so excited because he thought they were dinosaurs.
Yeah.
He sat on the couch and he's like, the dinosaurs are fighting.
Yeah.
He was really into it.
Oh, that's fun. It's a good way to teach. I mean, once your kids get a little older and understand what those Komodo dragons are doing, it's a good opportunity to teach them about animals.
All right, so you share on your blog a little bit about nature and things that you can do and things that you're doing with your family, different places that you can visit and things like that. So if you want to check out Mara's blog, it's To and Fro, and the link will be in the description below, along with the description to your social media. And you can find my social media links in the description below as well. And definitely make sure that you subscribe, because I will be back here next week with another mama and another great info, I guess. The great info. Sure. Cheers!